Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Open Mic Comedy Podcast. I'm your host, Marc. This is your first time here. Welcome. If you're a returning listener, welcome back. This podcast is here for everybody on the open mic comedy circuit, whether you're a comedian, an MC, a promoter, or a tutor. Even comedy fans who enjoy watching the stars of the future in the pub basements we seem to inhabit. If you're thinking I could do that, then this will guide you on what to expect on this crazy circuit from those right in the middle of it. Today's guest is somebody who models himself on the floor of a Wetherspoons. His favourite TV show is Grand Designs, and has a collection of sponges you probably shouldn't reuse. So please welcome to the stage, it's Mr. Jack Henry.
Oh my God. Hi, Mark.
Hello, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
So did you like the little introduction?
Yeah, no, I did. I did. I was sitting there going, oh yes, the sponges. I forget about the sponges, although they've played quite a significant role in my personal and comedy life.
Yeah.
Oh God, my wobbly screen. Yeah, no, good. Do love a bit of Grand Designs, unfortunately. And yeah, the Wetherspoon shirt. I was going to wear the Wetherspoon shirt today, but I consciously retired it at the end of the year. Funny enough, because I felt like I was becoming too reliant on it. I keep a very detailed gig list. I can tell you any gig I've done ever, and where it was and what date it was and how I felt about it. And I think 22 of those gigs in a row, I wore that same shirt, and finally decided it was time to let it go. So it's upstairs.
Retired gracefully.
Yeah, it's time. I did put on a new shirt though this morning. I kind of panicked. I didn't know what the vibe was. So I don't normally wear shirts at 11 a.m, but here we are, looking smart for you.
Hey, I've had some people turn up to these in suits before, so.
Oh, okay. Well, then next time I'll full three-piece. I'll do dinner jacket, bow tie.
Okay, fair enough. I'll hold you to that. So what's your how's your comedy journey then? How's it all started?
So I've been going almost exactly a year now from recording this. I did a course. I think a lot of people have done courses. I did the Mike Gunn course at the Comedy Store, which was, it was an absolutely fantastic experience. And it ended with a showcase at the Comedy Store in front of, I think, about 250 people, which for a first gig was like baptism of fire central. It was a lot and it was amazing. And he put me on last as well. So you're kind of sitting in the green room of the Comedy Store being like, what is happening to me now? But that was amazing. Before that, just ambition, really, something I always wanted to do, something I always said would be my kind of dream job. And I did things akin to it. I've hosted pub quizzes for the last 4 years, weekly. And I've done a few other bits. I've hosted some special events. I've been like a bingo host. I'm the inventor, he says, of Musical Statues Night, which was a pub night I ran a few times, which was basically a kind of entire pub full of about 200 people all playing musical statues across an evening, which was always such good fun. It was actually my mum. I got to quite a bit. I've always held myself back because I have quite a complicated journey with mental health. And I've always thought that I wasn't really able and capable to go and do comedy, because even things for me like getting on a train and going to London were really difficult at some periods of my life. And then about 2 years ago, I did some things, I made some choices, and it just opened my life up completely. And during that period, it was actually my mum, who will be listening, and hi Nikki, the most wonderful woman alive. Thanks for tuning in. She came to visit me and I was just telling her this story about my day, and she just stopped me and she was like, you need to do it. You need to do comedy. Like please do it, because you've been talking about it for ages and you're telling me this story, like, and you've clearly thought about the story and you've put jokes in this story that you're telling me now. So do it. And then that day I signed up to the course, did the course, and just haven't looked back for the last year. It's been like the best year of my life. It's been amazing.
Not many people, I guess, get to do. Most people I spoke to that do the courses don't do the Comedy Store one for whatever reason. I don't know why. Maybe it's oversubscribed or something. But then to be able to do your first ever gig in front of that iconic sign on that iconic stage must be like, wow.
Oh, it was amazing. And I literally remember getting off I remember getting off stage and being like, well, I'm never coming back here. So that was great. I was like, if I'm really lucky, it will be like years and years and years and I might get another go, or I'm not brave enough to do a King Gong. That was the other option. Absolutely not brave enough to do a King Gong. So I was like, that was fantastic. And the show out for that was great, especially for me. I had incredible support. I've been lucky that I've had incredible support throughout my whole comedy journey. And it really started from day one. So it was just, it was an amazing, amazing experience. Like, what a way to kick it off. But then to go from that to like, next gig 2 is like a basement with 6 people. You're a bit like, wait a second.
Yeah.
It isn't all like this.
Yes.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shock to the system, isn't it? It's kind of like you walk in, you go, so where is everyone? This is everyone. You're like,
yeah.
Oh.
Sorry, where's the dressing room?
So
wait.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that thing that says WC on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's this corner of the floor.
There's no riders. No, the bar's upstairs. Okay.
I know. Absolutely love that though. I personally love a pub gig. I love an upstairs in a pub gig. I genuinely, I haven't yet found a gig that I haven't enjoyed, which I'm not sure everyone can say, but for some reason or another, I've kind of managed to have fun at every one I've done.
Yeah.
I think it's because I'm just such a, like, comedy for me is that moment where I'm about to really, really like reference something. There's probably not reference on this podcast before, but it's that moment where Ariel comes to the surface in The Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
And she's just like, wow, everything's amazing. Like, I still have that attitude towards comedy. I still walk in every room and go, oh, there's a microphone and I know that person and they're really funny, and look at the chairs.
Yeah.
And like I just love it. Like, it makes me sound a bit odd, but I just like love it. So the wonder has not worn off for me yet at all.
Good. Let the wonder stay with you for as long as possible. That's what I say, because that's half the thing. Is it's got to be fun. It's got to be fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If it's not, then why do we do it?
Exactly. Why are we putting ourselves through it? Like, it's a strange hobby to have, because it's one for me, I live on the Kent East Sussex border. So for me to get to any gig I've got to, apart from my own in the neighbouring town, takes me about an hour and a half each way.
Yeah.
And for me to commit to doing an hour and a half each way, paying for a train ticket, buying a drink at the venue, I have to really want to do that. Yeah. So if I'm not like really motivated by enjoyment personally, why am I doing that? So I'm still there. I'm still at that really excited phase, and it's great. It's like, as I say, it's the best thing I've ever done. It's so fun.
Yeah. So I guess having a like you say, you've had a bit of a background in doing quizzes and running events in pubs. So I guess talking to people part has never been an issue.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not scared on a microphone, really. I host a pub quiz that I'm really proud of, and it's a very silly pub quiz, and it's very in line with what I do comedy wise. And they've become popular over the years I've done them. So it's quite often a big crowd. We do it to about 100 people every 2 weeks. And it's wicked. It's wicked. And I'm not scared of telling someone to quiet down in a fun way, or like dealing with someone having a heckle at me because they think I've got the answer wrong. Like, I'm used to playing with people. So when it came to actually getting up on stage, standing in front of people, that barrier was already, I think, lower for me than it would have been for some other people who had never done anything like that.
Yeah.
And as I said, I always knew I wanted to. I always got great enjoyment from just making people laugh. And when I started thinking about comedy, I would slip the occasional joke into the quiz just to kind of see how it went, because it felt very low stakes, where I'd be like, and I'd make it out like it wasn't a joke, I was just saying it off the cuff, but I would have written it in specifically and shaped the whole round before it just so I could try this one punchline. And every time it paid off, it was like a rush through the body, knowing that I'd kind of consciously made someone laugh. And that was the driving force behind, I think, the confidence to sign up to the course. Yeah, as I said, just have not looked back, and it's been all wonderful.
That's good to hear. So let's do best and worst moments on the stage then. What's been the worst?
What's been the worst? I was really thinking about this question because obviously I'm a regular listener, first time caller, and I don't think I've had like a notable event that I would class as like that
Okay.
was awful. I've not had like a big heckle. I've not had like a. We've all had gigs where it wasn't for us. My set is quite specific, shall we say? It's quite. It has an audience. It certainly has an
Yeah.
audience, and sometimes you arrive to a gig and you go, "Okay, this isn't my room. Like this just isn't
Yeah.
like it's not my room." And what can I learn from that? And I did a gig. I won't name the venue only because I don't think it's a reflection of my other experiences at that venue, which have all been incredible. But one night towards the end of last year, the audience just weren't up for anyone. And it was quite a long bill. I think it was like a 12-act bill and great comedians. And I think I was on like 7th or 8th, and just everyone went up to nothing. And you're sitting in the green room going, these are great jokes. Like these people are giving you great jokes with great delivery, and you just don't want it. Like you don't want to laugh. And I remember thinking in that moment, this is going to be it. This is going to be the one where I crumble, and this is going to be the one that keeps me up at night. And right before I went on, I thought, I describe it as that moment like you've jumped out the plane and you've gone like that on the parachute and you've realized it's not there. So you might as well have like a good time. Like you might as well enjoy the view. So I was like, I'm just going to enjoy the view. I hope someone comes along behind me and grabs on and we go together. But chances are I'm just having a nice look on the way down. And I kind of went on and I was like, right, I'm going to try like a completely different performance style because I know they're not going to relate to what I do. So I'm going to use this as an opportunity to learn something for me. And I did. And it was awful. They did not exactly what I thought was going to happen happened. They did not like me. But then they didn't like anyone. So I was like, okay, like, cool. Like I can't do anything about that. And I ended up just finding it really funny. And what I really enjoyed as well is that the comedians were in a separate room and it became this just like, that was one of the funniest rooms I've been in with comedians because we all just knew we were just going to bomb. Like we were just all going to die. So you kind of, when your name got called, you just kind of looked at each other with like a very sad look by the doorway and then went down and just did it. And then came back up and everyone was like, like the comedians clap. And it ended up being just a really funny room. I think that was probably my worst, like on stage experience. My best, I was thinking about this because I think if I was to go like achievement based, like what I'm most proud of, it would obviously be the Leicester Square final last year, which was an incredible experience. But I like to experience comedy through like just enjoyment for me. So I was like, what? And the gig I enjoyed the most was some friends of mine. I'm about to like name check a load of people. By the way, I could spend the rest of this podcast just saying open mic comedians that I'm absolutely obsessed with. But I'm very lucky to be friends with these two incredible comedians called Michael McPhee and Phoebe Taylor. And together they have a night called 0800 Comedy near King's Cross. They're actually looking for a new home at the moment, I believe. Okay. And that was my first time being asked to be on a bill, like getting that message in the DMs being like, will you come to the venue? And I was like, oh, I've been asked. That's like a step. Like that's we're doing steps. And like, this is a moment. And there was a couple of comedians on that bill already, David Hunter and Abigail Sines, who I was already friends with and gigged with a couple of times. So I was like, I know the vibe's going to be great. And then there was 3 comedians on that bill who I had a lot of like respect for and was a big kind of fan of in the open mic community. Hero O'Connor, Fab Gwalin and Kate Sharp. And they were on the bill as well. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. This is just people I know and people I've wanted to gig with for ages, and we're all doing it. And it was just an incredible gig. I also got to meet Rebecca Aranvina and Reb Day at that gig for the first time. And Reb and I since have become really, really close from that gig. She's a wonderful comedian and lovely person. And it was just, they treated everyone so well, Michael and Phoebe. The venue was so nice. The crowd was so up for it. The meeting the people that I'd wanted to meet was everything I kind of wanted it to be. they were so nice and friendly and giving with time and advice, and asked me to come sit next to them after my set and gave me like really good honest feedback, and then some kind of advice on, hey, here's some next steps you can do. And since then they've even messaged me and been like, hey, this is opened, you should enter this would be a good journey for you. And for me, that was just a moment where I was like, oh, this is fantastic, like I'm gonna remember this one forever. And I just absolutely loved it, and I had a really good set as well. But by the time it came to doing my set, I'd stopped caring, like not in a bad way, but I was just like, I'm having the best time. Like I was just standing there going,
this is relaxed.
I was like, this is lovely. We're all sitting and chatting in like the act area. We're all like having a joke, and everyone is just loving everyone that's going on. And the vibe is so supportive, and the way Phoebe and Michael were bringing people on meant that the energy was so high by the time you got on the stage. Even for someone like me who plays it quite low energy, they just were, the crowd were just up here. And I just realized that podcast is not a visual medium for most people. Up here, I'm doing a kind of head height little wave. And that was the one, that was the gig so far that I was like, if every gig could be like that, oh my God, it would be bliss.
Yeah, it's nice when you turn up at a gig and you know most of the people on the bill. And it happened recently to me. So I turned up at a gig and was just like, well, and this is bizarre. It's like people that I know and love on the circuit. I'm going, well, you were episode 2, you were episode 18, and I've got people down as the episode numbers they were on this. And you're just like, okay, I've got over half the bill here. It's weird.
Collecting them
over half the bill. Yeah,
collecting them like Squid Game contestants, like you're a competitor 18.
It does get a bit like that.
My favorite thing I found recently, I've just got to that point now where like I will go to a gig and 9 out of 10 gigs, I know at least one person or have gigged with at least one person or a couple of people already. And you've made the effort to chat to them, and it's great. And my favorite thing that's come from that is you'll bump into someone and you'll go, are you doing the set? And they'll be like, yeah. And then you'll go, are you doing like, and then you'll just say 3 random words. Like I'll be like, are you doing like a hand job at like the Imitation Game? And they'll be like, yeah. And they'll be like, are you doing like mental health sponge? And I'll be like, yeah. And then you can go, oh cool, I'm going to really enjoy this. I love this set. And then you kind of sit there and just nod along because you know what's coming, but it's still so great. I've got some friends sets who I could watch every day and just enjoy. And it's really fun when you kind of recognize each other's work and you're familiar with someone to the point where you can like be excited for what's coming, which I always think is really fun.
Yeah. Going back to like you talking about the competition with the Leicester Square Theatre final, how did you find that whole process from start to finish?
Just an absolute whirlwind. So I actually I never entered the first time round. I actually did, but it was too late and they added me to the wait list. And I was like, okay. And the only reason I entered was because a friend of mine who I did my course with, Martina O'Sullivan, she entered and she was like, you should do it. And I was like, okay, I will think about it. And at that point I was a bit scared of competitions, but I was doing like competition nights. Like I was doing like G&B New Act, and I was doing Comedy Virgins, and I was doing the kind of one night comps. But the idea of the big heats and rounds really intimidated me. So when I didn't get a place, I was like, okay, fine, I'll wait till next year. That's fine. I'm cool with it. And she messaged me on a Sunday, and it was just a screenshot of a Facebook post where it said that they'd had a dropout for the last heat. And she sent me that message on a Sunday morning, and the heat was Sunday afternoon. And obviously I live 2 hours away and I had nothing to do. And I was like, do you know what? This is like a sign. This is like you've got nothing to do today. Go do the gig, see what happens, take life as it comes, enjoy it. Cool. So I messaged them, they told me I had the place, put the call out on Instagram to friends. I am lucky. Just want to give a quick shout out, I joined a rugby team, big shock for me in my life, but I joined a rugby team last 2 years ago and they have changed my life completely. Not only do I thoroughly enjoy the sport, which is wild, but the community around that team have contributed to the success of my comedy career by just showing up and being so supportive and so encouraging and so wonderful. Incredible human beings. So I put the call out on Instagram and a couple of the guys from rugby came along, and I thought genuinely that it was a new act competition because it was Leicester Square New Comedian of the Year. So I was like, it will be like
Okay.
so I was like, it will be a new act comp. So in my head, I was thinking, like I'd recognize a few people from the open mic circuit. And I remember turning up and being like, oh my God, I know all of you. Like, I
Yeah.
know, like Rob Moriarty was in my first heat. And I was like, that's Rob Moriarty. I was like, I literally walked through the door and I was just like, that's Rob Moriarty and I'm not. And I was
Yeah.
like, and I remember literally turning to my friends and being like, thanks for coming, but whatever. Probably not my night. And so I just, in that moment, all the stress of the competition fell out of me because my
Yeah.
expectations was zero, like absolutely zero. And just had the most incredible run and was so grateful for it. And did my 5 that I'm really comfortable with. Um,
Yeah.
it went really well. I kept getting through. People kept showing up to support me. I was so just grateful for the whole process. And then to make it to the final was just mind-blowingly overwhelming. Like, just, I felt like such a fan. I felt like on the day, I didn't feel pressure on the day because I knew it wasn't mine to win. I was just really
Yeah.
grateful to be there. I felt like I'd won like a competition when people like used to win competitions and smash hits magazines to like meet a band. Like, that's what it felt like for me. Like,
Yeah.
I was just walking around being like, oh my God, I know you. I know you. I know you. You're brilliant. I get to watch all of you. I'm going to
Yeah.
sit here in the Leicester Square Theatre and laugh. And I've got like 40 people I know have bought tickets to come and watch me. Like, I've got basically a whole rugby team here, plus every family member I've ever had, plus like some people who come to my pub quiz came and bought tickets. And I was just like, this is mad. And I just went
Yeah.
on, did my set, had a great time. It went exactly as I thought it was going to go. Left, sat down and watched everyone else, and was just buzzing for the whole day. Like really
Yeah.
happy for the people that placed and won. Was just great to meet everyone and talk to people, and they were all so kind. You kind of think in your head, I've never really been in competitions. Like, I've never done anything that requires competition. So you have this presumption through, I don't know, like cinema or like TV, that in a competition setting, everyone's going to be like really really not selfish, but really in their own space and really standoffish.
Yeah.
And really like, I want to win. It couldn't have been less of that. Like, I remember turning up and Marc Maloney and John Pate, both comedians who I absolutely adore, coming like straight
Yeah.
up to me the second I walked in the room and being like, I already knew John, but Marc being like, oh, you're Jack, we've not gigged together. Like, John's told me about you. And I'm like, oh yeah, John's told me about you too. Like, it's so nice to meet you. And every single comedian, Monica Shea, like just coming straight up to you and being like, hey, how you feeling? Like, this is incredible. And even
Yeah.
backstage, as people came off, the encouragement about how it went was just brilliant. And I just spent the whole day honestly feeling like I had won like a magazine competition. Like, that was just my experience, and it was awesome. And I am so grateful and so lucky to have had that experience, like unbelievably so.
Excellent.
Especially kind of quite young in your comedy career, which I always find weird saying
Yes.
career, but it was just awesome, really awesome.
So what's in your year on the circuit then? What's your general views of the open mic circuit, the goods and the bads and the things that could be improved?
I've been really thinking about this one. I was listening to Jack Hennison's episode the other day, which was great. And I think I agree with him where I was talking about that kind of that middle gig that he was talking about, the 7 to 10 slots that have a kind of small payment to them where you charge tickets in. And I always think, coming from someone who does pub events, and I know this is so much easier said than done because I have my own night, but my night is in Tunbridge Wells, where there is next to no competition. Like, it's the only open mic comedy night in the town or the neighbouring towns. So for me, filling a room is a lot easier than someone in London who has to compete with 20 other open mics every night. But having that mid-range gig where the audience are invested, I think when people buy tickets, they become emotionally and psychologically invested in the evening, and they want to laugh. No matter how much that ticket is. So there's also a commitment to the event, so people tend to show up more. As someone who's just hosted events that are free, and you find that when an event is free, you think more people are going to come because it's free, and actually it's not. It's the opposite of that. It's really weird. So having more of those middle ground opportunities, I think the bringer system for me is interesting, because I do believe for some sites and for new acts it is necessary to fill that space and create that environment. And I understand why people do it. I just think as someone who lives really far away, a couple of times I've had to pull out of gigs because my bringer is unwell or is finishing work late and can't do the hour and 40-minute drive, or the hour and 40-minute train with me, or I don't have someone in London to meet me. And some gigs are really great when you'll reach out to them and say, look, I live this far away. Is there anything else we can do? Some gigs will accommodate for you, which I'm always super, super grateful for. But frustratingly, I've had to pull out of quite a few, because rules are rules. I'm a crazy rule follower. Like I've never even downloaded music illegally on LimeWire, because I was always too scared that someone was going to show up at my house and like come arrest me. So like I'm a rule follower, and I always think, oh, if I don't have a thing, I don't have the bravery to show up and chance it. And also it's a big risk for me to show up and chance it, to get turned away after buying a return ticket and sitting on the train for 3 hours. So that I would say, but I totally get it. Like I do totally get it. And I think what I like about the comedy circuit, it honestly wasn't anything like I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be loads of really competitive, reserved, but really funny people. And what it is open, warm, really funny people. Like the amount of people that I've met I'm just like, you're a joy. Like you are not only incredibly funny, but also just kind, and have given me time and advice and encouragement. I know I sound like I'm giving a Miss America answer. I literally, as I was thinking this, I'm like, oh, someone's going to listen to this and be like, you're gross, say something mean. But it genuinely for me is like, I've had people, a huge fan of Joe DaCosta, who's been on the podcast. He's been lovely to me with advice and opportunity. There's so many people who have reached out and given me feedback. Like John Pape has written to me and been like, I really like this joke and it feels really authentic to you and all this stuff. And I'm just so grateful for that. That was a shock to me. I thought it was going to be kind of catty, I think, but maybe that's just my pessimism going in. I'm quite a pessimistic person, unfortunately. And I think I was really surprised that was the reality of it, that everyone was so warm, but in the best way. And I say, I could sit here for the next 40 minutes and go, this person's great and this is why, and this person's great and this is why. And I mean it. It's just there's loads of incredible people out there. So that was a surprise. I think also the other surprise for me was I think I mentioned it earlier actually in one of my other answers, but just being in a room where people don't want to laugh. I always find that a really big shock. And I feel like that can come across as egotistical, where I'm like, oh, people don't want to laugh at me. No, like sometimes you're in a room and they're like, people don't want to laugh at anyone. And I kind of go, why have you left the house? This person's fantastic. And they're giving you great material. And especially if you are, I always found that the first time I was a audience member or bringer, you do kind of sit there and you wait for your turn, because you're nervous and you're anxious and you're going over your material in your head, and it's hard to step out of that and enjoy what's happening around you. But actually, when you are able to do that, when that time comes and you can sit, like I would recommend to everyone taking that opportunity and really listening to everyone going up there, because I've learned more from other people's sets and other people's reactions to scenarios and hecklers, and other people's reactions to editing material on the fly, the way people stand, the way people move, the way people engage with their own persona, than I have from rewatching myself. But yeah, I think it's really cool. And I've also been very lucky to straddle the comedy scene between Brighton and London, because I'm equidistant between the two. So I've been able to see like a really wide range of comedians and comedy styles and do very different nights. And I like that about the comedy scene. I like that the nights are different and they feel different and they have different requirements. And some are serious. When I say serious, I mean like you can't do notes, and some you can do notes. Serious is the wrong word for that. I'm going to worry about saying that one. But but in terms of, some are like open, very specifically open mic nights, and you're kind of laughing with people as they develop ideas on stage together. I also find that really exciting. And then some nights you're just getting people's like absolute polished word for word five, and that's cool as well. Like it's just I'm so boring because I'm literally just sitting there going, everyone's brilliant and it's all so cool. Like, isn't it? But it just goes to show that I never thought this would be how I'd be spending my time. And without
Yeah.
going like too sad and deep, I grew up really restricted by my mental health. It was a massive part of my
Mm.
life. I joke about it in my set. I was first diagnosed with OCD and anxiety disorder at the age of 12. I'm now 31. And at some points in my life, that has stopped me from leaving the house, going to London, meeting up with people. I've just coming out of a cycle now, actually, of it being really bad and it kind of putting little restrictions on what I'm able to do.
Yeah.
So the wonder for me of being able to go up there is so real because I'm still kind of just in shock of, oh, I'm in London on a Tuesday night. Like, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Like, I'm in London on Tuesday. I'm out of the house and I've done it and I'm laughing and everyone's really nice. And yeah, so that for me plays a huge part of it. And then also getting to explore that material on stage in a fun, character-based way is great. It's just great to kind of work through it.
Yeah. So you spoke about the mental health side of yourself and taking a break. So when you take a break, is it literally just like, I'm not booking any gigs, or I'm not doing any comedy, or I'm not doing anything? What's the process you go through to try and reset yourself?
I think for me, I take my mental health journey. I know everyone's mental health journey is different. I take my mental health journey on a really day by day basis. As I said, it impacts my life it has impacted my life every day for the last 19 years, and I do everything I can to
Yep.
manage it. But sometimes it overcomes me a little bit, and I become housebound and incredibly anxious and really self-doubting, and decide that I don't want to be around anyone and no one wants to be around me. And during those periods, my goal is to kind of keep the door open, but be kind to
Right.
myself. So I kind of will slow down the gigs. I was going through a period of doing 2 to 3 gigs a week. And then at the beginning of this year, I went to doing 1 gig a fortnight because I was finding that getting to that gig, getting on the train was giving me a panic attack. Walking to the gig
Right.
was giving me a panic attack. And it's a lot. People that have experienced that know it's quite a lot to put your body through. Like, it has a physical
Mm.
toll on your body and your energy levels. And I also changed jobs at that time. I also moved at that time. A lot was going on in my life that was changing quite rapidly. And I kind of battened down the hatches a little bit to protect myself.
Yeah.
It's something I'm super open about. I think I'm open about everything. If you've seen my set, I'm probably too open as a person. I should probably keep a little bit more
Yeah.
to myself. I'm a classic oversharer, but I also think that being open and honest about it makes it easier. And a lot of comedians who have been open to it have been so kind and receptive and wonderful, and have also experienced and shared their experience with it. So at the beginning of this year, I really slowed down, and I've just in the last kind of fortnight found myself, in the last week really, found myself in the right frame of mind for me to be able to speed up a little bit. So I'm doing like a 3 gig week this week, which I'm really excited about. I've already done 2 and doing one on Friday. And yeah, and it's why I kind of joke about it, because it's a huge part of my character, and
Yeah.
I'm proud of it. It's a weird thing to say. I'm proud of it because it's something I live with and something I manage, and it's something that I'm determined to not let it hold me back in the long run.
Yeah.
And I think I joke about potentially quite like serious experiences, but in a really silly way. And I
Yeah.
do it in like quite a soft delivery method that means I can kind of get away with it a bit. So when I joke about
Yeah.
hitting rock bottom and the relationship that has to a cucumber, I have been there, and recently, not with the cucumber. Don't I'm safe around your salads, but I it's a really true thing for me. It's something that I have really experienced, and I've always found, for me, being open about it
Yeah.
and getting to the joke. I think for me, I was thinking about this yesterday. It comes back to survival tactics. I think when you grow up going through secondary school, very aware that you are struggling with mental illness, and the people around you being aware that you're struggling with mental illness and actually getting being different for that reason and getting picked on for that reason and having a bad
Mm-hmm.
experience at school because that's the reason you're different, as well as having shoulder length hair and being incredibly gay, which at an all boys grammar school in Tunbridge Wells wasn't the move for popularity. um, in the kind of late 2000s, I used it. I was like, if I can joke about it first, it's the classic, isn't it? If I can joke about it first,
Yeah.
then my jokes can be better than yours. So you've got nowhere to go. So I've always joked about my differences, shall we say, and my experiences, but try to do it in such a light way that it feels accessible to laugh at and share. Like, I
Yeah.
would love to maybe in the future explore it in a more serious way, in a more analytical way, and a more, like, I guess, clever, like a more kind of serious scholarly way. But at the moment, I'm very happy just doing it in a silly way. Like, that's how I channel it for me.
I think the silly way is better, and I think the silly way is cleverer because you can bring more people into that world because more people are receptive to coming in. They may think that what you're saying is not the entire truth, so they kind of feel like they can come into that world. Whereas I think sometimes if you're like very serious about it and you're very precise about certain things that aren't particularly relatable to somebody else, so if you can make a comparison between an attack that you have to something ridiculous to somebody else, you bring them together and you forge this path, I think, where you come together. Whereas if you go serious and go the analytical side and saying this is what happens and this is everything else, but you don't, you stay on that side of the fence. I think
Yeah, I've not thought
people
about it like that.
struggle to come along sometimes because it's such a thing in their head. They're like, it's the whole thing. Am I allowed to laugh at this? And it needs that one person in the audience to pop and laugh to like relieve the tension, and everyone can laugh. And some people love that tension. They can build that tension and build it, and they almost like it's like they're blowing up the balloon constantly. And they're just what they know it's going to go at some point, but they don't know when it's going to go, and they love that feeling of holding it. Whereas I know for myself, for when I'm doing when I'm doing stuff that's slightly on the edge or whatever, and makes people feel a little bit uncomfortable, I still want them to laugh because I want them to laugh with me.
Yes.
I've given an example where my mum passed away in 2016, and one of the first things I did after she died was I went to a comedy show that was Union Chapel raising money for a charity. I can't remember what it was, and the headliner was Frankie Boyle. Now, bear in mind, my mum had suffered with cancer for 25 years. It eventually got her. She went at peace with it and everything. And one of the jokes that Frankie Boyle told on stage was a man goes to the doctor to get his diagnosis. And he walks into the room and he says to the doctor, "Well, doc, what's the news?" And he said, "Well, I've got good news and bad news." He said, "Okay, let's go bad first." He went, "Bad news is you've got cancer and you've got 6 weeks left to live." He went, "What's the good news?" He said, "With chemotherapy, you're going to go down water flumes much faster than everybody else." And in that room, I laughed so loud. And my mate sat next to me was looking at me like going, "Are you all right?" I'm like, I needed to hear that because it was just something there that went, yeah,
It popped the
that's
balloon
what
for
it's,
you.
yeah. And,
That's so
but
interesting.
I just needed that
No,
release. And I had that release in that stupid joke that was so relatable. And I could picture my mum laughing at that. And that was just like, done. That chapter in the life is not closed, but it's put to bed.
that's so interesting.
All for a Frankie Boyle joke.
Frankie Boyle joke. Frankie Boyle
Yeah.
therapist. But yeah, it is interesting. I think I always, as I say, I'm a very open person. So the second I started writing jokes, my first point of call, like my very first thing was like, talk about your mental health journey, talk about your coming out journey, talk about the time you had to have a little bit of your bottom removed medically, like all things that were really stressful times in my life for various reasons, like really not funny when they were happening, but in hindsight have been able to work through them in a fun way. And I want people to laugh, as you said earlier, I want people to laugh with me because I want them to know that it's my experiences is honest. I'm just trying to make you laugh. Like, I think a line I had for a really long time, still use it occasionally, is I say, I do a little bit about being gay and then to transition it into the next bit, I go, when I'm not busy being gay, I spend a lot of my time being mentally ill because I think it's nice to have hobbies. And just saying that, people kind of go, oh, it's okay. And then I go, I have OCD, anxiety, depression, all of which are true, and a BA in media studies. And again, all of that is true, but you kind of go, you stand there, and I know, I take my time, and I go, I have depression, anxiety, OCD, and you see people's faces kind of going, oh, okay, that's sad. And then you go, BA in media studies, and everyone goes, okay, like, he's all right. Like, he's okay with us. He's all right laughing with us. Like, and it just, it releases that pressure. For me, that's always been a way of, as I say, I think it probably in my younger life was a complete defense mechanism. But in my adult life, is just me trying to open that door to people and share it in a way that we can all just laugh about. And not everyone's going to be comfortable with that. And I guess that's okay. But I try and do it in a way that is about me and it feels true, like, because it is true. Like, I would never joke about, obviously we elaborate on stories as comedians, but I feel like if the grounding of what you say is your reality, then you're allowed a little bit of creative license with the bit that actually makes the punchline. Like the like, that's where the cucumber joke comes from, because it just made me laugh when I thought of it. And I was like, it's a kind of good way of summarizing the polarization of having a bad day versus having a good day. Yeah. And I personally, I like when comedians talk about their experience. I like all types of comedy, I really do. But I like when people talk about their life in a fun way.
Yeah, I want to know about the person on the stage. And if that is through laughter, then that's what I'm about. I love hearing
exactly.
it. I don't. There's just something about seeing somebody vulnerable on the stage talking to you and wanting to make you laugh, and you going on that same journey with them. I think it just there's nothing else quite like it. It's the way music can have an emotional effect, isn't it? You associate certain things, certain emotions with certain music.
Yeah.
Some people do the same thing with comedy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like you're gonna resonate with people and you're not gonna resonate with others. That's the other thing that you have to come to terms with, I think, at the beginning of comedy. It's like the weirdest thing when I try and explain it to my friends that don't do comedy. It's like you can do the same set word for word 3 times in a week and get a completely different reaction. Completely different reaction. And it's just down to the personalities in that room with you. It's down to the experiences of the people in that room with you. And some people can relate to you and some people can't. And some people find your persona, your presence and funny, and some people don't. And it's just, that for me is so interesting. Like, one of the most interesting things about it. And I think part of the reason I do deliver comedy in, I would say it's semi-character, what I do, because I think when people talk to me off stage, they're like, oh, you've got energy and you're you're very chatty and you talk fast and you have a lot of mannerisms, and on stage you're very slow. And I think that was in an attempt to make it more accessible, almost the softness of it. That I just found that it resonated with more people talking about these potentially serious topics in a kind of softer delivery. I
do like the way you deliver on stage. And I've seen the clip and just walking around, not very little walking around, but it's very you got this mannerism on a stage where you are, I'm going to tell you a story now.
Yeah.
Sit down,
yeah,
relax, rather than, hey, this is what happened.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it works really well. It works really, really, because it becomes engaging as well as anything else. And you're on this journey with somebody, and you're like, okay. And then you do the things like the OCD, etc., and then the BA, and then it's just like a release. Okay, we can feel comfortable, and then you can go into the next bit. And they're wondering, oh, what's that little bit of release going to be in your head?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we're with you. We're with you.
When they realize I'm just silly, it gets easier.
But it's I love it. I really do. So what would you say is your favorite joke you've actually got?
Oh, I know I've said it a lot. I'm really proud of the first joke I ever wrote. The first time I sat down with a pen and paper and said, I'm going to write a joke now. because I think it had a good joke structure, which was, I say I play IGR rugby. Does anyone know what IGR rugby is? Oh, it stands for International Gay Rugby. And it's exactly the same as regular rugby, apart from the rucks last a bit longer. And then people kind of take a second to breathe, and then I go, well, you know what they say when in Rome? And then when people take a second to breathe, and then I go,
yeah,
Rome's our scrum half. And for me, that kind of this sets up the fact that I'm going to be a bit tongue-in-cheek. It's going to be a bit, like blue. It's going to be quite gay, but I'm going to talk about things that you've probably not heard, or potentially not heard a gay comedian talk about before. I do things that are privy to my experience and a lot of queer people's experiences. I do talk about the coming out journey, and I do talk about mental health journey and my acceptance in society, but I also do 4 minutes on how it's really hard to come out to whoever's in charge of the pop-ups on gay porn, because I say they're just, no matter what I type into that search bar, they're just desperate to see me end up with a local MILF in my area, and it's like it just like I feel like that rugby joke sets the tone. I like that. And it got the approval from my rugby team. So I was like, cool. Like, I don't want to because we are, we're a serious rugby team, and I play serious union rugby as my hobby. But again, being able to take something and just make it a bit silly. I do like that one. I'm proud. I don't really do that one a lot anymore because I used to have a section on health and fitness. I split my comedy into sections. I'm quite militant about that. I kind of have 3 or 4 jokes that stay together. So if I can put those 3 or 4 jokes into a 5 and take out 3 or 4 jokes, then that works. But that kind of sits in a section I don't really use that much anymore. But I do. Okay. I like that one because I'm proud of the moment where I go, when I've written a joke. That's a joke. It's got a pullback and not a pullback and reveal, but it's got a setup. It's got a callback. It's got it's a joke. So I do like that one. I'm quite proud of that one.
And there is one thing I've noticed about you, specifically in social media terms, is you must be one of the only comedians who has a Instagram profile which has quite a lot on it, but there is no videos.
No.
There are no reels whatsoever. Is there a thinking behind this?
Yes and no. So I was actually told by my course, I was told by Mike Gunn, he said, don't post anything for the first year. And that was the solid advice. He gave that really early on. He said, the temptation will be, you've had a good gig, you post it, but he said, don't post anything for the first year because he said, no matter how good you think it is at the time, you'll look back at it after year 2 and think, I wish I hadn't posted that. That put a little bit of fear into me, to be honest with you. And I think the other reason why I haven't posted is I'm a real overthinker and I'm a real developer, and I love developing my set. I love doing it over and over again. And I think it was Declan Evans' episode, he talked about how he will kind of really tweak each joke one at a time, but keep the same set, and he'll kind of put one in and take one out, put 2 in, take 2 out, as I say, I kind of pair my jokes up. And that's my methodology as well. So I was working with the same 5 last night was gig. My gig diary is crazy. But last night was gig 58. And I would say for 45 of that 58, I was doing word for word the exact same set. So for me, putting that set online felt like I was losing it a little bit. That was just my attitude towards it, and I wasn't ready. I definitely want to do clips in the future. I have a few clips on the phone geared up and ready to go. And I also think that I'm not sure my jokes lend themselves to clips because they, as I say, they kind of come in sections. So the joke is 4 jokes. If I do a bit about sponges, we've been talking for 2 minutes before I say the word sponge, and that's a long clip. And without that whole 2 minutes, the context of the sponge joke doesn't make sense. So, and I think clips have to be short.
Greetings, listener. Sorry for the interruption. It's John the Pape from episode 41. If, like me, you're loving this episode, in the hot tub with 9 merchant sailors Listen to your higher self. Consider giving it a 5-star rating. And follow the pod on whatever app you're using. It's the right thing to do. Right, lads? And Marc will be forever grateful. Now, our helicopter has arrived, so I must beg your leave. But please, enjoy the rest of this absolute humdinger of an episode.
So you mentioned earlier you run your own gig. So what was the motivation behind doing that and getting all that off the ground?
Honestly, laziness. In terms of, so my day job, as I said earlier, I was doing pub events. I run a pub, and in that pub I do all the events. And I was just getting really exhausted with traveling an hour and a half to 2 hours to a gig. I realized there was no gigs in my hometown, and I'd already been really lucky enough early on to meet a load of great people that were really good to me with their time and effort and energy. And I just had the absolute, I don't know, misplaced audacity to be like, I could probably do my own night. I reckon I can make this happen. The absolute nerve. And I did. It was my 13th ever gig.
Wow.
And I messaged on Instagram some comedians who I'd gigged with up to that point, who I really enjoyed. Said, do you want to come to Tunbridge Wells and do a 5? And it was a great night. And it was nice because it was a very receptive audience who wanted comedy. Because there was no competition. There's nothing else on in the town apart from occasionally the theatre in the middle of the town will have Jimmy Carr come down, or someone else come down, and tickets are £30 to £40, whereas this was in a pub and it was friendly and it was talent and it was new people. And I asked a comedian called Danny Cooper if she would come and MC it for me. And it was just a great night. People really liked it. So we said, okay, well, we'll keep doing it until people don't like it anymore. It's once a month. It is every last Thursday on the month unless I'm on holiday. Those are the rules. So this week it's a week early because I'm going to Centre Parks. Like every 31-year-old. It's great. I try and it's just people that I gig with. It's people that I kind of go, hey, they came up and chatted to me afterwards, or we met outside smoking, and I just kind of go, do you fancy coming to Tunbridge Wells? And I've been really grateful that a load of people have said yes, and we've had some incredible lineups down there. You best believe if I make my way to the final of Leicester Square, I'm going to go and ask people that are there as well if they'll come down to Tunbridge Wells and do some time. So, we've had some incredible acts like Marc Maloney and Eli Hart and Leanna Holston come down and do sets. And we've got Abby Edwards next month, and Kwame O'Doom, and John Papes come, and this is me doing my list, like Reese Thorne, Ora Rose, like so many people who are brilliant. Indy Madry, who absolutely demolished me at a G&B New Act competition, and she came up to me afterwards and she was so nice, and she was like, I was like, well, as your punishment for beating me, you have to come to Tunbridge Wells. I hope you don't mind. And she was like so lovely, came down and had a really good time. And it's a really fun night. It's very chilled. I use it now to MC. I'm doing more MCing, which I'm really enjoying. It kind of sits well with my quiz host history of being able to play with people on the fly and talk to the audience and bounce back and forward with people. It's wicked. It's something I'm really proud of. We get a good audience in. It's very kind of chilled. It also pushes me to write new material a lot because the audience is a repeating audience. So I can't, I can't use the same joke month on month. It's not going to stop me trying, but in theory, I can't use the same joke month on month. My nan comes. She's always the star of the show. She'll always put I'll do some audience interaction and I'll say have we got any single people in the room? And she loves throwing around in the air, or I'll make an awful joke about, although I've had to do a lot of explaining to our Pam, because she'll come up to me afterwards and be like, what did you mean by cucumber? What does that mean? And I'll be like, no, I said, I'm not doing this. I said, ask mum on the way home. Okay. That's what she's there for. My family, you know, they show up for me all the time. They always are there. I always do the same bit of audience interaction with my mum, where I ask her what she does for a living. She says she works with kids, and I ask her if she's got any kids. She says yes, and I ask her which one's her favourite, and she'll never say. So I ask her which one's the funniest. She says you, and I say thanks, mum. And that's how we start every show. It's very like, keeps threatening she's going to mess it up with me on purpose, but she won't do it. But it's great. The pub is the pub I work in. So the team there are fantastic. The Guinea and Tunbridge Wells. Shout out to the Guinea and Tunbridge Wells, an incredible little pub. And yeah, well, I'm going to keep doing it as long as people keep saying yes to coming, and people that come keep enjoying it. It's cool. It's great. It's really fun. It's something, I said, something I'm very proud of.
Nice one. So what's your own personal future ambitions in comedy then?
My own personal future ambitions? It's just, for me at the moment, I am looking to just develop as much as possible. I'm still super aware that I'm really early on. And while I'm still just having a really good time, I just want to keep learning. And a lot of that means listening and learning from other people. And I'm reading the books, and I'm writing the jokes, and I'm doing I'm going to the angel writing gyms, and I'm just trying to develop a craft that I have so much respect for. So I kind of, after the Leicester Square final, I parked that 5 that I was doing for a long period of time. And I kind of said to myself, you're getting too comfortable in this, in that you're going to a venue twice a week, you're doing it word for word, you're not writing into it, you're not changing tone, you're not doing all this. Put it down, start again. So I kind of put that 5 down, wrote a whole new 5. And that's what I'm kind of working into at the moment. I would love to do Edinburgh this year, maybe go up. I'm in talks with some people about going up and doing a project up there for a week. Still early days, so I won't reveal. Hoping to do a split bill with someone later in the year, get that ball rolling. I've got things to look forward to this year. I'm doing LGBTQ Comedian of the Year, the Heats. I'm doing So You Think You're Funny, the Heats. As cliche as Miss America as it sounds, is keep having fun and keep doing it to have fun. I never started comedy being like 5 years and I'm on live at the Apollo. Like that was it for me. It was, oh my God, I'm leaving the house. Like, oh my God, I'm meeting people. I'm engaging in a world I've never thought would be accessible to me. And I have a community through this rugby club who is being so wildly supportive of it that I'm able to do it because I've got them behind me, and I've got my family behind me, and I've got this amazing supportive force of people. And for me, that still is my priority. I don't have goals. I don't want to win this or win that. I'm so grateful every time my Comedy Virgins trophy sits so proudly on my shelf and will do until the day I die. It's my favorite thing. I look at it and I go, oh my God, I won that. And, every time I've got to a final, the 2 times I've got to a final, look at me, every time I've got to a final, the 2 times I've got to a final has just been wonderful. And that's enough for me. I just want to keep enjoying it and meeting brilliant people. And ticking off those milestones. I'd love to go to Edinburgh. I'd love to see what happens. I want to develop the persona a bit. I've been very inspired by not John Pape's style, but the way John Pape switches on when he's on stage, and how it's his voice and his tone and his candor, and how it brings you in and how it tells the story, which is why 20 gigs ago I decided to go in this very soft tone and very slow delivery. I don't know if that will stay around. I don't know if I'll go back to trying a bit more like I am now, a bit more chatty, a bit more lively, a bit more this. But I want to just keep riding that wave. It's so fun to do.
Yeah. Okay. So if things do take off then, and Apollo does come knocking, and they go, we want you to do your 20 minutes on the BBC. And you sit down with producers and they ask that question of, so what music do you want to walk onto the stage to? What do you pick?
Oh, I can't say this answer quick enough. And anyone that has met me in life knows that I'm incredibly passionate about one song. And it's the song Believe by Cher. It's,
Okay.
in my opinion, the greatest song of all time. And I'm happy to fight anyone. No, I'm not. Look at me. I was like, I'm happy to fight anyone that says otherwise. No, I'm not. I'm not happy to fight anyone over anything. Thank you very much. That song has been my favorite song since it came out in 1998.
Wow.
When I was 5, I remember buying it on CD single. I remember dancing around it to my room. I remember it has changed so much for me in its relationship throughout my life. Through the ending of relationships and the message of the song, to it being in the clubs when I used to work in nightclubs, to it's the song that's always stuck to me. It's always the last answer to my quiz. To the point where regular teams will come in and they'll write "Believe" by Cher in the music round in the last box, because they know it's going to be "Believe" by Cher. Because then I get to make everyone listen to "Believe" by Cher. I share it watching. I cried 3 times when I went to see Cher in 2019. I'm not a crier. I'm not a crier, and I cried 3 times watching Cher. And I kept screaming, "I love you," at the top of my voice, even though I was at the other end of the O2. That's my song. That's the song that everyone associates with me. It's the only song I know word for word. I have a terrible, terrible mind for lyrics. I cannot remember them. I'm surprised I remember a set, to be honest with you, but no doubt. Anyone that knows me knew that was coming. And I was going to try and do a curveball to throw people off. But no, it's absolutely "Believe" by Cher.
Fair enough. And as you've alluded to already, you do listen to these quite a lot. You know what's coming next. It's that moment that this could be your first reel on Instagram. It could be. Right,
yeah. Why not? It would be very tonally weird depending on what it is, but I'm open to it.
So for those that are new here, I like to set the comedians all a challenge to tell a joke from this joke book called The Little Book of Shit Jokes by Sid Finch. The idea is that the comedians pick a joke from this book, tell it live on stage, film it, put it on Instagram, tag us in it, we share it, we all laugh, everybody has a good time. Nothing's taken too seriously, but the comedians only get to pick the joke by page number. So what they're going to get is a mystery. And some of the recent ones have been absolutely terrible. So if you want to give me a number between 5 and 95.
Look, I don't know if this has been done, but I want to be true to my crass, vulgar character and ask if anyone's taken 69 yet, Mark.
That was the first one ever.
Of course it was. Of course it was. But when my little episodes I listen to, I'm like, oh, come on, has anyone taken? I've got no one's doing 69. Is 14 available?
14.
If not, I'm going round.
You have 2 jokes on here. You can have joke 1 or joke 2.
I'm going to go joke 1. 14's my birthday. Very basic of me, but let's do. Look how prepared I am. I have a note. I have a clipboard and a pen. Ready. I'm nothing without my clipboard. Okay, I'm still going to write it down.
Photo of the page.
Okay, do.
Okay. You're going to have to change the second word of this joke. The joke I want you to tell on stage is, my wife always says, cheer up. You could be trapped in a vertical water-filled tunnel. I know she means well.
Wow. Okay. No, do you know what? Game on. I have no idea how I'm going to fit it in. I'm going to have a wife, which will be new for me. But I could do husband, but I think wife will be funnier. I have always said I think it'd be really fun to go on in my tone, in my demeanor, and just do 5 minutes of my wife material, and just see the people's faces how they react to it. But no, I'll change it to my husband. That's much more believable for me. But I'll get 100% give it a go. What was the punchline about well?
Yeah, I know. My wife always
says,
she means well. You could be trapped. Yeah, you could be trapped in a vertical water-filled tunnel. I know she
It's
means
not
well.
dreadful. It's not dreadful. It's not great, but it's not dreadful.
It's going to be all in the delivery, I think, that joke.
Wait,
because
yeah.
a vertical water-filled tunnel. It's one of those where you're going to have to tell it, and then you're going to have the bravery to let it sit.
Yeah,
And wait
just
for
stand
people
in
to
silence.
laugh or groan.
Because my first thought was
it?
that it was going to be, yeah, exactly. My first joke was that I thought this was going to be a joke about water slides, but then you said, well, and it took me a second to catch up. So, I'll give it a go. I'm not beyond giving anything a go. I've said a lot worse jokes than that in the last year, so let's do it. I wrote like a 2-minute joke the other day about tunnels, just the tunnels of the UK, and I learnt the names and lengths of about 15 tunnels, just for it to just absolutely sink. Like, absolutely sink. And I was like, I'll try it again, synced again. And I was like, that's a lot of tunnel-based knowledge for nothing.
Yeah.
So Wales are not beyond me.
Fair enough. So where can people find you then online?
So I'm only really on Instagram. My Instagram is Jack Henry Jack, because Jack Henry comedy and Jack Henry funny and Jack Henry tells jokes were all gone.
Okay.
And Jack Henry's my comedy name. I Laughing on the Outside doesn't have its own page. That's all just through me on my Instagram, and that's literally it. Like, if say hi if you want to. I think I'm quite a friendly person. If we're ever at a gig together, I may look focused, but I'm just having a panic attack. So wait for me to calm down, and then honestly, after I've been on, I'll talk to anyone. Before, I'm sweating. So yeah, I love talking to people. I love being out the house. So yeah, come say hi in person or online.
Okay, I'll get that Instagram link put into the description of the podcast so people can find you. And you can find us on Instagram at Open Mic Comedy Pod. We have a website, openmiccomedypod.com. Whichever platform you're listening to us on, please give it a like, follow, subscribe, whatever it is, and a nice 5-star review would be lovely. Gets us up the charts and gets these people heard. I just want to say, lastly, thank you very much for your time today, Jack.
Thank you for having me. This has been like a goal of mine. You're talking about goals. Doing this has been a goal of mine since I started listening. I was absolutely honoured to be asked, and it's been a true joy talking to you today.
No, it's been my pleasure. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. It's been good fun. And for the rest of you, I will speak to you all very, very soon.